Hey y'all, I just woke up. I know I'm looking kind of crazy, but I was watching a couple of shows. I was watching a good amount of shows, actually, I can't lie. And pretty much in one of the shows, one of the characters, what happened was every time, so he would die. And every time he would die, he would have to go back in time. And that random set point that he would go back in time to wouldn't change until it changed randomly. So let's say he'd be living, he would be in this world, he'd make all these memories with his friends, go on all these journeys, and someone's always after him, boom, they kill him. Now he goes back to that random set point, and it updates randomly to a later date. But whenever he'd go back to the set point, he'd be so devastated for two reasons. Number one, he'd have to go back and restart. All the progress he made is gone. But the second thing is all the memories he made with his friends, the relationships, how it grew, the things they shared, the things they did together. In their mind, it never happened. Because anything that happened between that checkpoint and when he died never happened for them. Because he remembers everything, but they don't. And it would crush him every single time. Because he'd be like, hey, remember when we did this? And he'll be like, no. Or he'll meet someone he went on a 2-day adventure with. And then he'll be like, hey, man, how you doing? It's me. And they'll be like, do I know you? And it would crush him. Not just the fact that he would have to go back and he would be regressing, but it was crushing him that the most valuable thing he was creating with the people that are most important to him, the memories, were never there for them. They were non-existent. And it was crushing him. It was eating him alive. It was mentally taking him out. There was another show I was watching, and in this show, this girl, pretty much her job was to save the world. Like, by save the world, there was just this one beast that only she could kill, and she was training up to kill it. But what happened was, every time she would use this one power of hers that she'd need to use to kill it, when she'd use it in other battles to try and level up and win, every time she did that, she would lose a piece of herself. She would start losing herself. She would lose memories. She'd start forgetting things. She'd start forgetting herself. Pretty much her memories would just dissipate. They would start disappearing every time she went in this state. And she had a lot of people that were really close to her, and a lot of people that were really, really important to her, and people she was important to as well. And what happened was, over time, when she started losing her memories, it got to a point where she would just forget one thing. Like, they'd be like, hey, remember when we did this a month ago? She'll be like, no, I can't remember for some reason. Or they'll be like, man, Sarah, remember last 2 years ago when we did this? She was like, 2 years ago? I don't remember. And it would slowly hurt them, but she didn't forget about them. Then it got to a point where her mind was fully wiped. She lost all her memories, all sense of self. She pretty much was just a vessel and a person that still knew how to talk, still knew how to do everything, but didn't have any memories. And all her friends were devastated. They were crying. It was almost like she died. Like, she was absolutely gone. It tore them apart. That process killed them. Her forgetting them, her not knowing about her, even though she was still alive. Her memories were gone. Her hard drive disappeared, and it tore all of them apart. I have a friend, and I never asked him personally, but a few months ago, his dad died. And, my grandma had Alzheimer's and dementia. She passed away about maybe 90 to 120 days ago. She had memory loss. She would forget a lot of things. But my friend, his father just died a few months ago. And I remember right before his father died, it was almost like he had a lot he was going through. Like, mentally, it seemed like smaller things would make him angry, and he'd be more frustrated throughout the day. And he was a full-time caregiver for his father. He lived in the house and took care of his father. He was his caregiver. And his father didn't know anything. He absolutely forgot everything. He didn't even know his own son, his own wife. He didn't know anything. His memory was wiped. His Alzheimer's and dementia completely got him. So he was alive, he was functioning, but it's like he was never even there anymore. And I almost noticed when my friend's dad passed away, I never asked him, I can't confirm this, but it almost seemed like a weight was lifted off his chest. Like, it's almost like he became not happier, but he had less of a weight he was carrying. Like, I don't know how to I just noticed it's like things that would maybe get him more angry didn't get him as angry anymore. Things that would bother him a whole lot didn't bother him as much anymore. Maybe because he was working from home and he was still taking care of his dad, and mentally that would crush him because his dad doesn't even know him, doesn't remember him. But it was almost like when he passed away, it almost seemed like a weight was lifted off his chest. And all these things, the shows I watched, the scenario that happened with him, it all made me realize one thing. In life, life comes down to two things, and that's timing and information. That's a video I will make another day. But memories is everything. Imagine if I gave you a computer, a $20,000 computer. You made it, you built it, you put the $20,000 into it, 10,000, whatever it is, and you love that computer more than anything. Or your iPhone 15 or 16, whatever it is. You have an iPhone, you've had it forever, and you have all your storage, all your memory, all your data on there. And it was lost. How pissed would you be? You'd be devastated. Because you'd realize in that moment, man, what was most valuable to me wasn't even necessarily the iPhone. It wasn't even the PC itself. It was all the data that it had. It was all the storage that it had. But when it's no longer there, it's worth nothing to you. So what's worth the $10,000, the $1,000 iPhone, or the $10,000 PC? Is it the PC itself, the iPhone itself, or is it all the memory, storage, and data that it holds, right? Imagine if, what do you think is more important? What do you think is more valuable, right? It's the storage itself. So I realized in life, memories are everything. Experiences are everything. Yahuah is everything, number one. Don't get it confused. But what I mean is, when it comes to relationships, there's one thing that makes them what they are. And it's the memories, the data, the fact that we remember each other. And it made me realize, when it comes to Yahuah, there's really one thing he wants us to never do. And that's forget about him. How much would it tear you apart if your mother, your child, your best friend, your spouse, whoever it is, one day you walked up to them, you were so happy to see them. You smiled, gave them a hug and a kiss, and you're like, bro, Jay, how you been? Bro, how you been, dog? I'm so happy to see you. Or you see your mom. Mom, how you doing? It's been so long. I love you. How are you feeling right now? And then once you detach from the hug and look at her, she's like, do I know you? That would tear you apart. It would crush you. Your mom's still there. She's the same person. Not really, but all her memories are gone. She doesn't remember you. What made your relationship what it was is no longer there. All the memories you guys had, the information you shared, the mutual understanding you had of certain things and certain experiences is no longer there. You're crushed. How bad does that hurt? It would hurt terribly. So it just made me realize, guys, I really believe there's a lot of things. I think what Yahuah wants from us, obviously, is for us to be obedient, love him with all our heart, lean not on our own understanding, acknowledge him in all our ways, be not wise in our own eyes, and fear him. Proverbs 3:5-8, this will be health to your flesh and marrow to your bones. He wants us to obey him, for the whole duty of man. Ecclesiastes 3:16, fear Yahuah and keep his commands, for this is the whole duty of man. Yochanan 3:16, for Yahuah so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him will not perish but have everlasting life. Yahusha is Yahuah in the flesh. He wants us to believe in him, trust in him, lean on him, obey him. These are the things he wants. He wants a relationship with us. But I think one of the other things that is ultra important to Yahuah is that we never forget him. How many times in the Exodus, or when they were on the journey to the promised land, did Yahuah tell them, I am Yahuah your Eluah, who took you out of the land of Mitzrayim? It's like he was constantly reminding them, constantly reminding us of what he did, who he is. Why? Because it's super important that we never forget him. Just like it would tear your heart apart if someone you loved and held so closely to you couldn't remember you, but was still there. It's almost like they're dead. Even though you love them so much, even though they can't remember you, it hurts. I think Yahuah wants the same thing. He wants us to never forget him. Never forget him. We need to keep his commands. We need to obey him. We need to love him, but never forget him. And that's something I've been trying to work on myself. I've been trying to make sure that in my life, I put Yahuah before anything. I have not been doing that. If I keep him on my mind and heart at all times, two things will happen. Number one, I'll never forget him, which is the most important thing. But number two, I'll be more obedient. I'll be more focused on him. I'll be more focused on his will for me. I'll be trying to figure out what he wants me to do more so than what I want to do. I'll be trying to figure out what is it that he has in store for me instead of, man, what does life have in store for me? So those things are very important. But I want to give you some verses too to go along with that to kind of illustrate this point. I don't want you to just take my word for it. So we'll read a couple verses. We'll start with Deuteronomy 6:12. Then beware, lest you forget Yahuah, who brought you out the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. He's saying, lest you forget Yahuah. Don't forget me. Remember what I did. Do not forget me. Deuteronomy 8:11. Beware that you do not forget Yahuah your Elohah by not keeping his commandments, his judgments, and his statutes, which I command you today. We just spoke about that. What's a component of remembering Yahuah? Number one, you never forget him. Keep him in your heart at all times. But it's also when you beware that you do not forget Yahuah your Elohah by not keeping his commandments. Got to keep his commandments. That's a component of it. Deuteronomy 8:14. When your heart is lifted up and you forget Yahuah your Elohah, who brought you out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage, that's a terrible thing. Don't let that happen. Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected knowledge, I also will reject you from being priest for me. Because you have forgotten the law of your Elohah, I also will forget your children. Man, forgetting the law of Yahuah, it almost equates to forgetting about him. Because if you truly know him, love him, and keep him on the forefront of your mind and never forget about him, you won't forget about his laws and commandments. Because what did Yahushua say? Who is Yahuah in the flesh? If you love me, you'll keep my commands. What did Ecclesiastes 3:16 say? For hear the conclusion of the matter. Fear Yahuah and keep his commands. Or fear Yahuah and keep his commands, for this is the whole duty of man. Malachi 3:16. Then those who feared Yahuah spoke to one another, and Yahuah listened and heard them. So a book of remembrance was written before him for those who fear Yahuah and who meditate on his name. Man, a book of remembrance is written for those who fear Yahuah. We spoke about that. You got to fear Yahuah. But a book of remembrance will have your name in it. So it's never forgotten who you are. But it's for those who fear Yahuah and who meditate on his name. If you meditate on Yahuah's name, keep him on your heart and your mind at all times, how could you forget about him? How could you forget about his laws and commandments? How could you not be congruent with what he wants for us? It's beautiful. Luke 22:19, and he took bread, gave thanks, and broke it, and gave it to them, saying, this is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me. Yahushua gave us instruction on what to do. Take the bread, that's his body. Drink the wine, that's his blood. Do it in remembrance of him. What's so important about doing that? Number one, what it signifies, but number two, it's always going to remind us of him, so we never forget about Yahushua, who is Yahuah in the flesh. So we never forget about our Savior and our Father, Yahuah. Last verse we'll go through, Colossians 1:16. For by him all things were created that are in heaven and that are on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or principalities or powers, all things were created through him and for him. Colossians 1:16. Remember, all things were created by Yahuah and for Yahuah. That's fact. We were created by him and we were also created for him. Never forget about him. Never forget about who he is, what he's done for us, what he's going to do, and just don't forget about Yahuah, no matter what. Keep him on your mind, your heart, make him the number one thing in your life, make him the number one priority, and never, ever, ever forget about Yahuah. That's it, guys.